Welcome to the Co-Parenting Conversations podcast, brought to you by the Center for Divorce Education. With renowned psychologist Dr. Donald Gordon, we will delve into the complex world of co-parenting during and after divorce and separation. Join us as we explore some of the emotional, legal, and practical aspects of parental breakups, helping you navigate this transformative journey with wisdom and guidance. Whether you're currently going through a divorce, contemplating separation, or supporting a loved one in their journey, the Center for Divorce Education is here to empower you with knowledge and offer you a roadmap towards a brighter future. The information presented in this podcast is intended for educational purposes only. The presentation of this material is not intended to constitute mental health therapy or to diagnose mental health disorders. The presentation of this material is not intended to constitute legal advice. Participants are encouraged to discuss specific legal questions with a licensed attorney of their choice.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Co-Parenting Conversations podcast by the Center for Divorce Education. We provide online parenting classes for divorcing and separating parents. I'm Jamie, and today I'm here with my colleague Chelsea, and we'll be discussing some holiday tips for co-parents. We will also bring on Dr. Don in a little while so he can give his professional expertise as well. So, Chelsea, since the holidays are coming up, why don't you give us a few pointers for parents and their kids?
The first one is the holidays are for children, and they should be center stage. Above all, give your kids permission to love their other parent. Your children will have a range of feelings this holiday. Go ahead and slow the pace. Also, take care of yourself and be kind to yourself. Make any sort of travel that you have fun if you can. Be kind. I know that's hard, but be kind. Learn to use your iMessages. If you don't know what an iMessage is, I highly recommend you scour our resources page, look into our skill practices, check out SIBO. We explain it in detail so you can actually use those to help communicate along the way. Put a stop to any trash talk. Don't talk down on others, including your co-parent. Share the kids, even when it's your time with them. And that's a challenge, but it's not something that is impossible. It can still be really beautiful. You can still co-parent through the holidays. Communicate, coordinate, and then be flexible. Make gift arrangements if necessary. Ask what your kids want as frequently as possible. Stop, look, and listen is another skill that really comes in handy here, and we teach that in SIBO. This is a very challenging moment when your family dynamic is being pressed and you're open to new opportunities and new challenges, especially if this is your first one as a co-parent.
In a lot of these situations also, parents may have just divorced or they're going through a separation. And so it does make it even more difficult. You know, you have set up these traditions that you're both used to. And that can also be difficult when you're trying to co-parent and figure out a new schedule for the holidays. I know when I went through my divorce, that was part of the issue that we had was scheduling holidays. And finally, we came to an agreement that I would have my son every other holiday because that was just the easiest. But some of the best memories that we actually have weren't on the holidays. It was me traveling with the kids, usually afterwards.
I think it's going to be a matter of like the moms can go pretty wild on Christmas. I mean, we get into it.
Yeah,
we really do. A lot of us do. And so you can, as a father and as a mother also, create a new tradition with your children. Maybe buy a new ornament every year now that is just for your new tree.
Right.
Or you guys can also do things together.
Yeah.
Create some time as a family and then create new memories together at dad's house and at mom's house.
Right. No, I agree. And creating those new memories is part of your new family tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And also it is important to remember, and I think you mentioned that, to slow the pace down.
Yeah.
You know, don't overdo it on holidays, especially right after a breakup or a separation, because slowing down and remembering it really is the thought and the time that you spend with your kids that's most important. So yeah. Thank you for your feedback here, Chelsea. And let's go ahead and bring on Dr. Don and see what he has to say. Dr. Don, what are some of your professional tips for parents to remember during the holidays?
Well, as you both mentioned, slowing down is probably most important. It's especially important because holidays can be very hard on parents, because that's a time where loss really hits us, and things that we used to love and cherish are not there anymore. So it's really hard on the parents to have this sense of loss. The extended families are not getting together, most likely. But it's really hard on the kids because they've lost their family, the family they had hoped they would always have. And since it's such a hard time, that means that there's a lot of stress. And when parents are under stress, they're more likely to say things that they wish they hadn't said. They're more likely to be critical of the other parent, to perceive a threat from the other parent, to get aggressive toward the other parent. So those things are usually present during a divorce anyway, but the holidays can exacerbate those. And they can see the other parent as ruining the sense of family that they used to have for the holidays. So we really have to monitor ourselves as parents during this time to make it easier on ourselves, to really slow down, to get outside in nature, to exercise, to eat well, to get good sleep, to do everything we need to do to be healthy and calm. One of the most important things you can do is to give your children permission to love the other parent. One of the worst things about divorce is when the children think that they're not allowed to love both parents. And that's an impossible situation for them. So if they have to hide their love for the other parent, that's really tough for them. If they think they're making one parent angry because they're showing interest and affection and love for the other parent, that puts them in an impossible bind. Your kids will have a range of feelings during the holidays, and you need to support those and recognize those, not dismiss them. They could be anxious, they could be nervous, they could be sad, and it's important to help them verbalize what they're feeling. We have a feeling wheel in our children's program where children learn how to express and recognize and express their feelings. And that's good advice for adults too, for us parents, to be able to recognize our feelings and admit them to ourselves. And that helps us cope with them by pushing our strong feelings out of our awareness, which is tempting to do. It just comes up in other ways. It'll slow us down. It'll tire us. It'll make us distractible. So it's better to just admit the feelings we're having to ourselves, to talk out loud about them to someone else, and to do the same for our children. Don't try to plan too much for the holidays, because you want it to be really fun for the kids, but going from one place to another, especially if you're having to get on airplanes or drive long distances. Holiday travel is stressful for everybody, and there's often delays at airports. So you try to make new memories with your kids. So new traditions that you can keep up year after year. For instance, going out and cutting a tree down. And in our family, we would go up to a property in the mountains and cut down a Christmas tree. It looked like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, but it was important that we cut it down ourselves and brought it back and put decorations on it. Try to be kind to your co-parent. That's a person that at one point you loved, you may still love, but be kind to them. They're going through their own struggles. They're suffering themselves, and they will appreciate any acts of kindness, and it may surprise them. You'll never regret being kind to someone who is suffering.
Those are great tips and good things to keep in mind during the holidays. What would you say about sharing the kids with your ex during the holidays?
It's important to be especially generous with your ex and not to think, well, this is my time, I deserve this time, but to compromise and to give your ex time with the children, because it's equally important to them. And they're more likely to reciprocate that if you're generous with your sharing. Don't trash talk the other parent. Don't say negative things about them. As we've said before in other podcasts, the children identify with both of their parents. And when you say negative things about the other parent, the children apply that criticism to themselves, because the other parent is part of them. Right. So if you call the other parent, hateful or inconsiderate or lazy, the children are going to apply that to themselves. They can't even verbalize that they're doing that usually. So that's something that you're not going to know that they're applying to themselves, but you need to understand that happens. Another skill to use is iMessages, as Chelsea and Jamie have mentioned. mentioned, where you state your feelings about the other parent's behavior without attacking them. And stop, look, and listen is another skill to use, where you stop yourself from your initial fight or flight response. You look at all your options, think of different ways you can handle it, and then listen to your better nature and coming up with a response. And another skill is don't assume the other parent's motives. Quite often when we're negative towards someone, we assume they have negative motives. We don't give them the benefit of the doubt. If you give your co-parent the benefit of the doubt, they'll appreciate it and they're more likely to reciprocate toward you. One of the most hurtful things is when you have a good motive towards someone and they think you have a negative motive. It's very hurtful when that happens.
Right. And those are all beneficial skills to keep in mind, especially around the holidays. Once again, we appreciate you for tuning in, and thank you, Don, for being here. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.